All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about someone pretty incredible today, a visionary who, and this is no exaggeration, single-handedly built the foundation for India's entire atomic age. His name? Homi J. Bhabha. So this really is the big question that hangs over his whole story, right? How on earth did one guy, one brilliant physicist, manage to build a nation's nuclear dream from the ground up? I mean, from scratch. It's an amazing story of sheer genius and, honestly, just incredible willpower. You know, when you talk about science in modern India, Homi Jahangir Bhabha is a name you just can't avoid. And he wasn't just some scientist. People call him the father of the Indian nuclear program. And let me tell you, that's not just some fancy title they throw around. He earned it. He literally engineered a future into existence for his country.
So let's set the scene for a second. Picture this. It's the mid-20th century. India is a brand new, independent nation just trying to find its footing. And the challenges? They were absolutely massive. We're talking a desperate need for energy, a huge push to industrialize, and this powerful desire to stand on its own 2 feet scientifically. And this is the world Bhabha comes back to. But he wasn't coming back with doubts. Oh no, he was coming back with a plan. But okay, to really get the guy who built this future, we've got to rewind a bit. Where did this level of genius even come from? Well, his story really kicks off at the very top of the academic world, taking him from the halls of Cambridge straight into the deep mysteries of the cosmos. So here's a look at where it all started. He was born into a really prominent Parsi family in Mumbai. So from the get-go, he had an education that was, well, second to none. This path eventually led him to the legendary Cambridge University. And get this, he was mentored by Paul Dirac himself, one of the absolute giants of quantum mechanics. I mean, his future was basically set for a rock star career in Europe. But here's the thing. He wasn't just soaking up knowledge. He was actually creating it. His work led to something now called Bhabha scattering, and this was a huge deal in quantum physics. He came up with the theory that explains what happens when electrons smash into their antimatter twins, positrons. And this wasn't just some abstract idea on a blackboard. It became a fundamental piece of the puzzle for understanding how the universe works, and it's still super important in particle physics today. Okay, and this is the real turning point in the story. Despite all this success, all this promise in Europe, Bhabha makes a decision that changes everything. He decides to go back to India. And he wasn't just, going home. He was returning with a mission, a massive one, to build the entire scientific foundation his country needed, right from scratch.
And just look at the pace he worked at. It's just incredible. In 1945, he starts the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, TFR, which became this beacon for top-tier science. Just 3 years after that, he's heading up the country's brand new Atomic Energy Commission. Then by 1954, he sets up the Atomic Energy Establishment in Trombay. You have to stop and think about that for a second. A whole scientific ecosystem, from pure research to applied nuclear science, he built all of it in less than a decade. It's just wild. So, okay, the institutions are there. But what was the big plan? What was the end game? See, Bhabha wasn't just thinking small, like, let's build a reactor. No, he was thinking way, way bigger. He was drawing up the blueprint for India's total energy independence for the long haul. And at the heart of it all, his vision was completely peaceful. For him, nuclear energy was the tool, the key to pulling millions of people out of poverty, to firing up industries, and to making sure that modern India would never, ever be at the mercy of another country for its energy. It was all about development. And his 3-stage nuclear plan? Oh, it was an absolute masterstroke of strategic thinking. Okay, so follow this. Step 1, you use the natural uranium you have to get power, but this also creates plutonium as a side effect. Now, step 2 is where the real genius kicks in. You take that plutonium and use it in special fast breeder reactors. And these are amazing because they actually create more fuel than they use up. Then, for the final step, step 3, you switch to using India's massive thorium reserves. This creates a sustainable energy loop that could power the country for hundreds of years. It's a completely self-contained system, all designed for total independence. Brilliant, right? But Bhabha's story, well, it doesn't really have a clean, simple ending. Now we have to turn to the final chapter of his life, a life that was cut tragically short. And what it left behind was this huge, monumental legacy and a mystery that still hangs in the air, like an unfinished symphony.
And what makes his story so fascinating is that he was so much more than just a scientist. He was a true Renaissance man. I mean, the guy was a talented painter, a huge fan of classical music, a philosopher. He was even a diplomat for India at the UN. He was this perfect blend of art and science.
And the world definitely took notice of his genius. He got the Padma Bhushan, which is one of India's highest honors. He was also made a Fellow of the Royal Society in London. I mean, that's the big leagues. It really sealed a spot among the absolute top scientists in the world. And then, tragedy. On January 24th, 1966, the Air India plane that Bhabha was on crashed right into Mont Blanc in the Alps. No one survived. The official story is that it was a terrible accident, but you have to remember who this man was and what he was building. This was right in the middle of the Cold War. Given how important his work was, strategically, it's no surprise that questions and conspiracy theories about that crash have never really gone away. But one thing that is absolutely crystal clear is his legacy. The institute he started in Tromsø, it was renamed the Bhabha Atomic Research Center, BARC, to honor him. His name is literally written into the textbooks of physics with Bhabha scattering. And that whole framework he designed, that became the foundation that allowed India to conduct its first successful nuclear test in 1974, long after he was gone.
So let's end with some of his own words, which really get to the heart of everything he worked for. He said, "A scientific temper is the only route to a developed nation." That's a powerful idea, isn't it? It comes from the man who didn't just sit around dreaming about India's future. He was out there building it, one atom at a time. It really makes you wonder, though, what else could he have accomplished if his life hadn't been cut so short? That's definitely